This guide is meant to teach you everything you need to know to successfully work your way from this little Pisces starter ship to the exploration vessel it can land inside of, the Carrack. And if you can't afford a ship rental upgrade by the end of this guide, I will personally see that you can if you decide to join our community on Discord. We'll be moving fast and covering a lot today, so if you haven't already got a basic understanding of the game, I'd do some looking around. If you find this helpful though, consider subscribing at the end to catch my other videos, news, updates, and guides about Star Citizen. And thank you for coming to my Tomato Talk. So, Star Citizen is a pretty incomplete game. That's important to know because it's gonna lead to a lot of ruined game sessions, unexplainable roadblocks, and very frustrating waits for things to be fixed or implemented. It is still a unique, expansive, and complex experience though. You have 4 different planets to visit, a dozen moons to explore, dozens of space stations to stop by, and more than 70 completely unique, meticulously detailed spaceships to buy, rent, and rip apart. And keep that in mind, after you spend that initial $45, nothing else is required to be able to buy any ship in the game, given it's been out for a quarter or two. And if you really want, you can always upgrade with real money in the future. An important caveat here though is that database wipes will see you needing to earn those ships again while the game is still in alpha. So if there's a wipe at an update, expect to get those ships all over again. So let's start out with your starting location. If you haven't made an account already, you can use a friend's referral code or one of my supporters, which is linked below, to get an extra 5,000 starting credits. If you've already done this, just pick your starting package, of which I will always recommend the cheapest option, though you can learn more about all the choices in my starting ship guide. As of now, I suggest the Aurora. Download the client and double check your specs. 16 gigabytes is recommended, but 32 is really going to help you here. An SSD hard drive is mandatory for this game to run well. After getting all your prep done, launch into the main menu, and from there, you'll have 4 unique cities on different planets to choose from. Of these 4 choices, I highly recommend either New Babbage, located on Microtech, the frozen ball of dirt on the outer rim of the system, which insulates newcomers from a lot of traffic but can also find you far away from other activities, or Area 18 at ArCorp, the bustling ball of buildings, I guess, that's pretty central to the system but currently lacks explorable terrain. There's also Orison, which is beautiful but can be a struggle on older GPUs, and Lorville is worth a try as well, but lacks a little bit in items and upgrades. Lorville recently got a rework, so it's looking pretty nice right now as well. Both of my suggested locations of New Babbage and Area 18 will offer you medical gear, weapons, armor, and other items you may need. But ArCorp is going to require you to go to one of its moons for ground gameplay. Keep in mind, this is your initial starting point we're choosing. This is where everything on your account will start, and where new things in your account will spawn if you acquire them. But the game is persistent, so if you fly somewhere and leave your items or ships in that place, they're gonna stay there, even after all the players leave the area and you log off. Same goes for in-game purchases. This is a pretty new addition to the game as of 3.18, but allows for things like player shipwrecks, weapon stashes, and other belongings to be found and taken by others over days or possibly even weeks. Back to starting though. We're still getting used to the game, so let's start at Area 18. Currently, this is the only location in the game with a new player tutorial, and that's going to help us along this path. So like I said, if you haven't already been prompted to take the new player tutorial, you should. It's not the most complete experience and still needs plenty of work, but this will guide you through the basics of the game and we can break out of it at any point we want. It's also built modularly, so it'll probably update over time as new features are brought in. But when you wake up in game, you're likely going to encounter some stuttering as the shaders finish loading in. Over time, you may see your performance improve slightly, but remember the game is still fairly unoptimized. To get out of bed, just tap the F key. You can hold F and select the action you want, but tapping the F key will automatically choose the default action. This is good to know because you'll be interacting with a lot in the game, starting with your lights, the door, and even the coffee machine nearby that you have to go and use during the tutorial. For the duration of this tutorial, I'll refer to the control hints you see on the right side of the screen for button prompts, as well as the tutorial that's telling you to use them. Keeping those control hints and regular hints that pop up contextually on will give you a lot of awareness about a game that doesn't do the best at communicating your options. Whenever you don't need them anymore, you can just turn them off in the pause menu. Now, once you've left your bedroom behind, you'll make your way to the elevator and call it to your floor. Elevators can be a pain in this game, but both them and trains do physically move throughout the world, so be prepared to wait occasionally. And while you may enjoy the slow stroll in the digital world, for all of you like myself who run everywhere, use the mouse wheel to change your movement speed. You can also use the mouse wheel to zoom in your view when holding down the F key and scroll through lists on screens in-game. These two actions do sometimes get in the way of each other. Just click the middle mouse button to lock onto the screen you're looking at. After heading downstairs into the city, your first goal should be to get geared up for our eventual mission. There are a few things to consider here that will keep coming up. I won't go too deep in detail, but there will be things you want to consider about your character as you travel throughout the game. First is your health. There's a deep health system that allows for players to take the medic role, but players also need to keep themselves topped up on health juice when injured. Medical pens will help you with that. Hunger and thirst are a thing in this game. Not a crucial thing, and still being experimented with, but something to take note of. I say not crucial, but you can die if you let it go too far. Food and water are abundant in the game though, and cruise water can actually handle both, so if you see those in the inventory, definitely grab those. Because this game persists, as I said, you can actually leave this food and water around on your ships for you and guests whenever you decide to take it out for an expedition. But you actually won't need it that often while playing this game. Law and criminality play a big role in the game as well, and your ability to peacefully traverse. The journal in your Mobiglass will tell you about local laws, but you should pay very close attention to whether you are in an armistice zone and whether you have a crime rating. Both of those are in the top right-hand corner. The personal inner thought menu is a less used but very helpful tool in the game that allows you to see contextual key bindings based on where you are and what you are doing. It gives you access to item actions, emotes, favorite key bindings, and even lets you rebind keys if you need to. Holding the F key and right-clicking will bring this up and help you out a lot. I'd spend some time with it and get to know how it works. Now, while the in-game tutorial will have you interact with your inventory briefly, it's not going to teach you about it. Everything you buy can be sent to your local or your personal inventories. Personal inventories are your backpack or armor slots, while local inventories is the space station, city, or outpost that you're in. There are also vehicle inventories, for ground vehicles and for spaceships. Remember, everything persists, so you'll have to move things between each of these inventories as you find, buy, sell, and drop items. This will be important because when we buy stuff, you need to decide where it goes. Finally, your Alpha UEC is your in-game currency. Anything you buy with this currency is not permanent. It will be lost with wipes, and it is only linked to the Alpha. And if it was physicalized, you'd probably be able to lose it. This game allows for any item in your inventory to be looted, so you'll want to pay attention to where you're going and stay away from more dangerous areas. Right now that's easier said than done, but I am hopeful that the upcoming star map, which I made a video about recently, will help us know more about the danger levels of places we're going. At the same time though, don't put too much importance on anything that you do own in the alpha. Nothing is permanent and things are always changing. Have some fun and slowly chip away at that fortune you want to earn. There is no rush to become a millionaire quickly, and there are plenty of people who will help you out with whatever you want to do. Now, back to reality. In addition to whatever the tutorial tells you to buy in the shop, you should also grab a gun and some ammo, as well as a backpack. That's one of those personal inventories I mentioned. If you buy and equip the backpack first, you can actually send the rest of your purchases straight there, or once you have one, to your ship. But you'll need torso armor to equip the backpack, so of course grab that too. And while we're here, get a multi-tool with a tractor beam attachment. That is one of the most useful items in the game right now. Now, while we won't be heading to the hospital on the way out, it is somewhere you'll want to get accustomed to. Not only will you need to get med pens or maybe even the medical tool here for our aspiring medics, you'll often respawn here after dying. If you want to spawn somewhere else, you'll need to go to that hospital and set it as your location. We're going to do that now in the space station up in orbit. To get to the spaceport, you'll need to take public transportation. This will be a train or taxi of some sort. In our corp, it is a flying bus. Follow the signs each step of the way and get used to the iconography. After following directions to your ship, that lovely Pisces we saw at the beginning of the video, if you decided to take the new player tutorial, will be waiting for you in the hangar. You can use the Alt+N key binding to call ATC or the F11 Mobiglass comm screen to give them a call. Either way, from here you can begin getting accustomed with your ship. Just make sure if you haven't already to transfer any inventory items you need to the ship and equip your helmet. You can use double click to equip in the inventory and shift click to transfer. You can also use this opportunity to try out that tractor beam you got. It'll be useful for loading cargo, moving items and components, and transporting weapons and bodies. Yeah, bodies. You can interact with weapons and components on your ships, removing and replacing them with others. Switching from tractor mode to detach mode using the B key will enable this. And when interacting with items, you'll want to pay close attention to the colors to understand what is and is not possible by rotating the item. Okay, we're finally going to get spacebound. It's going to take a little while to get used to the feel of your ship, so I'd take things slow the first time. In order to ensure this, use your mouse wheel to lower your maximum speed. Just like with walking, this is going to limit the speed that your ship can maneuver, and you can change it at any time you want. It's very handy in areas like this hangar where you want to move slowly and more carefully. Use those control hints to understand how to move the ship around, and get out of the hangar. You can stick around the area for a little while and fly between the buildings for some added challenge in learning flight, or if you're ready to go, you can follow the waypoints up above the clouds. Keep an eye out for landing gear indicator down in the bottom left-hand corner though. Nobody wants to be that derp. After following all those checkpoints, you'll use the in-game long-distance traversal system, Quantum Travel, to fly to the nearby station. This travel system is meant to send ships flying through space at 20% the speed of light. Currently we're going much faster than that, decreasing travel times drastically, but 40 million kilometers across the star system is no joke, and you'll still be looking at 10+ minutes of travel at times. Not to mention, the next star system is 3 times the size of where we are right now, likely resulting in some pretty hefty travel times for long-distance players. For now, 120 kilometers will take us to our next destination. On approach to the station, and when approaching anywhere in the dark really, you can press and hold the V key not only to ping and identify objects around you, but to see in the dark by painting areas. Night vision is a work in progress, so this is the holdover we have. You can also press the V key to bring up scanning mode, which allows you to truly identify objects like other ships, mineable entities, and derelicts. When close, you can use the space brake or thrust in the opposite direction of your travel to slow down. If you feel like it, a flip and burn is actually the most efficient way of stopping. Left shift will boost the effects of your thrust, and if you want my advice, never fly directly at a space station, just in case this doesn't work out for you. Now, use Alt+N to initiate the landing process just like when we took off. You can also press F1 to bring up your Mobiglass, which is essentially an in-game personal wrist computer. Again, from here you can make a call on the comms channel, but while we're looking at this, why don't we look at our other apps? The Vehicle Manager app is where you can customize any vehicle that you have access to at that point in time. After that, the Knickknacks app can track every asset that you own and where in the galaxy they are. Skyline is your star map, and will be able to show where in the star system you are, as well as your routes, current fuel, and quantum jump beacons. You can set routes in this app, and eventually it will allow for local navigation support as well once we get that update I mentioned earlier. The next app is MoTrader, which allows you to send currency to other folks. And your Contract Manager displays all available missions, whether you've taken them or failed them. The wrench icon allows for repair, refuel, and restock services at landing pads that offer it, and to the right of that is your journal, providing important public information such as local laws, which actually matter, and system-wide announcements. On the far right is Delphi, your reputation tracking app, and a good place to go to understand who you're running missions for. Once you're in the hangar, you can hold the N key to have your ship automatically land for you if you'd prefer, or you can manual land.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay.
Once departed, look for the elevator to take you to the lobby, and explore around a little bit until you find the medical center and can find the regeneration kiosk inside of there. This screen will allow you to change your respawn point to this space station, and avoid ever needing to spawn on the planet's surface again, if you desire, until the next wipe. And now with your spawn set, your ship ready to go, and your gear got, we're ready to start running missions. Missions in Star Citizen are not currently the best. They're mainly singular, objective focused, and straightforward, but they'll allow you the chance to experience the different game systems nonetheless. Right now, you have access to missions in FPS combat, ship combat, salvage, racing, investigations, package deliveries, and other mixtures of these activities at different scales in different locales. More mission types are coming soon, but this is what we've got in 3.21. I'm going to give you 3 different levels of difficulty that should supply you with good money or good equipment and get you on your way to earning your next ship. Feel free to run all of these or skip to the one that interests you the most using the chapters down below. The easiest missions to run for new players are box delivery missions. In the past, these were reliable missions for new players to see the sights, learn how to fly, and earn some credits. At this point, they have become rather unpredictable and oftentimes dangerous. While the mission may send you to an outpost to retrieve simple boxes to throw on your ship, it may also send you to a crash site or a derelict outpost, which may have hostile NPCs present. You can choose to shoot these NPCs with your ship or engage them in FPS combat, but you are running the risk of losing everything that you're currently carrying. I would continue to attempt the initial evaluation mission until you get a simple outpost pickup. Either way, when you reach your destination, whether an outpost or a derelict, you should come across a couple of loot boxes that may have weapons, supplies, and more in there that you can throw in your backpack. You'll be able to get all your gear this way, and you can avoid spending money at stores for the little things. In fact, you can even take your findings back to sell. This is actually pretty useful, as you'll notice pretty quickly that these package delivery missions are not really worth the money. You may also come across a glitch that renders the mission unable to complete. This is a really annoying reality with these missions, and it can be hard to predict when something may break, so keep in mind these missions are more for the experience than the pay. Now, if you're actually looking for that FPS challenge, not only will mercenary missions get you plenty of targets to shoot at, they also pay pretty well. By taking a defend bunker mission, you'll be able to fight alongside security denoted by blue arrows and clear out a group of hostile pirates. Once done, you'll have 15 minutes to loot dead bodies and caches around the bunker and get all the weapons that were dropped. Make sure not to shoot security, or you'll end up with a crime stat that is much more trouble than it's worth. Now, if you grabbed that tractor beam and multi-tool like I said earlier, at this point, you're going to have a lot easier time getting all that loot and weapons back to the elevator and up to your ship. All you have to do is put that box next to whatever you want to pick up and drag it and drop it into the inventory screen. Once you return to the station, you should be able to sell them all straight from your ship, and the prices can be worth the time for a new player. Clearing and looting bunker missions like this should earn you more than 50,000 credits after just a few runs, and will give you a lot of practice. For this mission or any mission in which you're fighting criminals, make sure to take the call to action mission in the mercenary tab to get a small stipend for each criminal that you murder. Yeah, Star Citizen can be a bit dark. Also, pay attention to which missions you take. Defensive missions will favor you, but others might have you going up against defensive turrets outside of the bunker if you aren't specifically assisting the installation security. Finally, if you're confident in your ship combat abilities, one of the best paying missions available to all players are the illegal monitor missions. In this scenario, you'll need to go to a nearby comm station and use the tab key to scan around for 3 small satellites that are skimming data. You'll need to fight off some pirates while doing this, and they may even be spawned in when you get there, complicating things. If they're not though, scan for and locate each of the satellites before getting started, as the timer will start when you land the first shot, and that's when the pirates will start. If you can fend off the pirates, you'll get about 20,000 credits and some combat training. Bouncing back and forth between these monitor missions and the bunker missions will ensure you almost always have something to do, and they'll keep you paid quite a bit until you're ready to rent or buy your next ship. That extra loot helps too. But this is just a touch of what you can do in-game after you've gotten the hang of things. So with the basics in our pocket, and enough confidence to start running missions regularly, let's talk about what else Star Citizen has to offer. So that's your new player's guide, but there's a lot more to know about Star Citizen. So if you want to understand all the options you have outside of just that first couple hours of play, let's continue. In terms of missions, what I named really only scratches the surface of what you can do. You can delve into the various caves in the game to locate lost adventurers, or take on bounties that are hiding out. You can attend time trial races at various open courses throughout the star system. You can follow narrative investigation missions, assassinate specific characters, defend stolen mining claims, steal somebody else's mining claims, deploy probes, escort ships, rescue other players in need as an in-game paramedic, hold down PvP hot zones in various set pieces like Korea and Ghost Hollow, and more. A lot of the nuance and small details that make these missions truly interesting and set apart is lacking, to say the least, so they can get boring over time. But these are pre-made gameplay options that you can use to simply try out and see what Star Citizen is about. And right now, things are especially good for missions. The studio has recently hit a huge milestone in their mission creation process, which should mean many more choices soon. So far this year, we've seen new PvP missions, salvage missions, crusader missions, and retrieve consignment missions added to the game, with new data heist, bounty hunting, cargo, and mining missions in development to come soon. And if you aren't here for the missions, Star Citizen works really well as a sandbox game. In fact, it's more of a sandbox game than anything else. You can go mining, be a medic, fly around with players, explore the various locations, run some salvage, hunt down gang members, and take part in tons of community events with guilds or groups of friends. There are already several professions in the game that pay pretty well, and you can find creative ways to take part in them. With the recently faster development, the game is changing quickly enough that new profession opportunities are popping up each year. It's just a matter of when the economy will start to back them up. It's also easy to jump into the Star Citizen Discord community and start finding groups that run events and activities that you're interested in and allow you to try ships you've never had access to, try a mission you don't qualify for, or attempt gameplay that's easier with multi-crew playing. Organizations can offer you the ability to play Star Citizen multiplayer very easily, and if you're into that, the experience can be a massive improvement over solo play. If you'd like to join ours, I'll leave a link below as well as a link to every other organization in the game to look through. Then there are the mission givers. These folks, in all honesty, don't work great at the moment, as the game servers are stressed to their limit until further backend development finishes up. But every once in a while you may get a mysterious message from a named individual in the game. These people are located in almost every planetary location and will provide you with missions that not only chain together, but are a bit more convincing narrative-wise. They wouldn't be my go-to suggestion for clean fun in the game, but they're worth checking out if you've already tired yourself out of everything else. And they should be getting some updates pretty soon. But be wary. Much like the missions you might see in your contract manager, mission givers will sometimes put you on the wrong side of the law, and this can definitely end up being a problem. As I said before, Star Citizen has a crime system with a prison mechanic attached. If you commit a serious enough crime, security and player bounty hunters alike will be after you, trying to kill you and send you to prison. We're seeing the other side of this dynamic, the bounty hunting offices and prisoner deposit location, being developed right now in our monthly reports. But your sentence in prison will be proportional to the crimes you commit, sometimes getting up to dozens of hours. But there are a few ways to lower it. You can run one of a few different tasks in prison to reduce your sentence. And if you want to get creative, you can even assassinate other prisoners to try and steal their resources and help your own chances, proving that you've really learned your lesson. You can also escape prison by running a mission and getting yourself off planet, but it's not easy. While this can sound a bit miserable, that's kind of the point of prison. And while it's hit or miss on effectiveness right now, it is continuing to be developed alongside the rest of the game to be some sort of deterrent from the worst crimes. Meaning if you make a little mistake, accidentally hurt someone, bump a ship, or get charged for loitering, you'll only have to pay a fine. Criminals will also be able to hack their crime stats away, but for that, you'll need to gear up and assault the local security station, holding it down while forces try to eliminate you. This is certainly not the easiest option, but it has created some amazing fun for players looking for PvP on both sides of the law. I'd suggest checking out the in-game journal to get a better idea of what you can and can't do. Finally, there are dynamic events, the best money-making opportunities in the game, and what many people consider to be the most fun experiences the game creates so far. Right now, there are 4 large events on rotation. Siege of Orison offers team-based FPS combat in an urban environment on Orison, the game's cloud city. While the performance can hurt during this event, it is the only one that offers PvE FPS gameplay. The more ship-focused version would be Xenothreat, a military-led defense against the xenophobic gang based in Pyro. As they attempt to assault the local military station, you'll be able to dogfight, battle capital ships, or board a derelict transports to grab crucial cargo to ship back to the military station. This event does offer occasional PvE FPS, but it is a peripheral activity. Then there's Jumptown, a recreation of the player-made event from earlier days. In this event, an outpost on one of a few moons will begin dispensing regular drug caches that can be sold for a lot of money. With no objectives or laid out goals, the outpost becomes a sandbox environment for PvP, ship, and FPS combat of all types, requiring players to group up or infiltrate solo to capture, exfiltrate, and sell the drugs for money. All of these events are great opportunities to make money, meet other players, and get a better sense of what Star Citizen gameplay aims to be in the long run. They are still basic events and don't add to the overall economy of the system just yet, but any player can take part, and they should be a great way to experience the game. At the end of all this, there's still plenty more to do in this game than I've explained here, and that Carrick is only a few short weeks of gameplay away if you play your cards right. So if you're the type of person who's willing to put up with glitches, a slow development, and occasional feature delays, this game might be for you. And while there's many more to learn, this should be your ultimate starter guide to teach you how to play the game, how to follow the game, and where you can learn more. Speaking of where you can learn more, if you enjoyed this video, I'd be happy to show you more of what Star Citizen has to offer in my other videos. I cover new features, upcoming updates, new ship releases, and big developments going into the game that have spanned over the last several years. I also have a second YouTube channel which is more gameplay focused and also hosts my podcast, reaction videos, and casual news. And if you want to ask questions or even play with the group, make sure to drop by the stream to find out how, or join us on Discord for some group gameplay. You can try a lot of what I talked about here in our weekly events and daily group play on the server. Whatever you do decide to do though, thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. I hope I taught you everything that you need to know to get started in Star Citizen, and I'd like to welcome you. Thanks for watching this, and I'll hopefully see you in the next.